Welcome everyone. Let's get started. So since this is the beginners webinar, I have a specific agenda that I'm going to follow today in order to educate every one of you on using outranking utilities at the best abilities. So let's get started. So the first thing that we're going to look at is some basic tabs, right? So let's go over just the basic tabs. We'll not go much in detail, but we'll look at the basic tabs. So this is SEO content. Here's where you create your SEO content documentation, whether it is for optimization or whether you are creating a new content. SERP analysis is where you do majority of the research. So let's say you don't want to spend your document credit, but you want to spend your SERP analysis credit to do the research first, go after, identify the keywords that you want to go after, and then maybe create a document. In that case, you can use SERP analysis. And SERP analysis just has one particular page where you can enter the keyword and certain basic parameters over here, and you can go up to 30 pages and click submit, and you can see the history of all the searches over here as well. Let's go to questions. Similarly, in questions, a same specific field. The only difference in question is that it's going to pull out questions from top 50 pages of SERP data. So it just gets so many questions that you can go after and create really long FAQ pages. But let's say, where do you focus on the most important ones, right? So the most important ones are already included in the editor up to 20 pages. So you don't have to come back and forth between questions. It's just, if you are creating a page with tons and tons of questions and you need a lot more ideas, in that case, you could use this questions feature. Keyword gap. This is a brand new feature and it's still in beta. This allows you to find keyword gaps and differences in traffic between your domain and your competitor's domain for the keyword that you want to go after. So you can create a curated list of keywords that you should be going after where your competitors are finding more value. Okay. The second thing we're going to look at is just some basic account links. And this is important. Plenty of people have questions around this. So let's just go to settings real quick. This is your credit. You see document credits over here. Your keyword, the keywords that you have searched, the credit goes over here. This is basically your SERP analysis. Your AI character credit shows up over here, and your user credits show up over here. So I don't have any additional users, so it's showing 0, 0. But these are my character limits, insanely high, I know. And this is document search. So how many I have searched and stuff like that. This is your basic profile. You can change your email address from here. You can change your password from here. Let's go to plans. These are the plans that you can purchase if you are still new, and you can go yearly as well. It's monthly. Let's go to subscriptions. This is where you can change and update your payment methods and update your plans as well and select a new plan or upgrade one. Add-ons real quick. So this is mostly for our LTD users who need more AI characters. And this will evolve as well as and when the product grows out. We're going to go consumption-based, and you will see many more add-ons over here. API settings. This is the API key that you need in order to connect outranking to your Google plugin or WordPress plugin. And you can simply copy this, or you can also generate again. And this is your team member. You can click on invite. If you already have a team member subscription or in your subscription, then you won't be redirected to purchase one. You can skip that. Okay, let's go back to SEO content now. So we're done with the account links. Now we will go and look at one of the content pieces. So long form content, let's go ahead and create a new document. And I will just use this particular keyword right now to go after it. So while we are here, let's look at the screen real quick as well. So this is the default tab, which you use to create a new SEO document. This is a tab that you can use when you want to optimize an existing document. In that case, you can enter the search query you want to optimize that particular page for, and enter the URL, and it will automatically grab the content from that particular URL to score it. You can enter the title. If you don't enter the title, it just replicates from the search query. These are the status that you can change, whether it's in outline, in review, or it's in published state. And you can also add your custom tags. So I've added an outranking tab and my website tab. By default, you can add your own. You can consider this as like a folder structure as well. And this utilities will change in the next release, but the basic fundamental of how everything works in outranking will still stay the same. So, okay, and here you can pick the language. Let's go back to create new document and click on find related keywords. So I want to create content for long form. You can search for it. And this is basically using the same engine as Uber suggests and a few other platforms out there for gathering related keywords data. So this is the volume, competition, cost per click, and an action that you can take. You can also see if you want to find other ideas around long form, then you can click on ideas and see other non-related keywords, but closer to some of the terms that you have used for this particular search. So let's go back here. I will use long form content. Let's go ahead and create a new SEO document. It's gonna tell me that I've already created this. Do I still want to do this? I said yes, okay. Okay, now we are thrown onto the screen, which is AI Wizard. So now we're looking at AI Wizards. Now let's look at some basic controls for this. The first control is you can skip through any of these screens if you wanted to by clicking on the top icons. You can skip the wizard by clicking on close. Okay, let's go here. Generating title ideas will use this keyword to generate title ideas. So let's go ahead and click generate ideas. Okay, a guide for creating long form content. So it generates 5 variations of the title using the most important keyword in order to rank for this particular keyword in Google. You can also customize it by adding your custom keyword. So for example, I'd say marketing. I can click enter and it will add marketing, and then I can generate title ideas again if I wanted to. And now it will use marketing word as well when it's generating those ideas. So I see that it's still trying to stay close to what is long form content, but you get the idea. Okay, let's go ahead and select this and go next. In meta description, same situation as meta title, same controls, everything is same. You can click meta descriptions and it generates meta description. Now, one thing to remember here is that how do you edit any of these things? So if you click once, it will highlight the box, but if you click twice, it will actually make the box editable. So you can adjust this and then click next. Okay, so when you click next, you're thrown upon this huge complicated screen which says sections, right? So what are sections? Sections are the core chapters, you'd say, or headings or subheadings that go within your long form content or any kind of content. Okay, let's go ahead and look at some basic utilities. So section concepts, this is using AI to concise the sections, find the core elements of the ranking content, and come up with outlines for just that. Is this sufficient? No, this you can take it as a benchmark, start from here, so your ideas are much more aligned with what you're trying to do, and then build upon it. Before I generate this, let's go over the second tab. Okay, this is SERP outlines. SERP means search engine ranking pages outlines. And this consists of all the outlines from all the pages that are ranking. You see the rank that they are in, their URL, their H1 tag, this is the heading of the particular page, and all of their outlines. If you click on this arrow, it will expand and show you if there is any H3 tags under them as well. If you click here, it will add both of these things into the outline, and you can see that. So let's go ahead and delete that for right now. Okay, if you click on view, it will show you what's under that particular paragraph. So whether this is relevant or whether this is not. Let's go ahead and close that. And if you add just this, it will only add the H2 tag. Okay, great. And this is the same control for all the content that you see over here. Let's go to Google Path. In most cases where there is really good questions that Google can show users, it will show you up to 20 questions from Google over here. If certain things are not relevant, you can ignore them. If they're relevant, you can add them. And this can take anywhere from 20 seconds to up to 2 minutes, depending on how much data it has to read and how much concepts it has to generate out of it. So be a little patient, but it will come up with good data. So, okay, how to create long form content. This is great. This is something that I can get started with. What is long form? Okay, how to create. So I might want to also add this. I can add that. Okay, so I've started adding some outlines over here, and you see that they started turning green. That means you're using them already in your content. Now, what are these controls? Let's look at this related keywords control. This shows me what are the keywords that I definitely need to include in my content, in my outline, not just my content, right? So it is showing all the keywords, and the ones that you're using is showing green. You can see when you click on it, it will show you which ones are relevant closely with this. So you can use that and identify them easily and add them into your content. Okay, similarly, let's go ahead and minimize this. Let's go ahead and open up HFK. What does that mean? Highest frequency keywords. These are the highest frequency keywords extracted from all the outlines that we found in the SERP data, search engine ranking pages. Why are they important? They're important because sometimes, or in many times, a related keyword data might not be sufficient, and you still need to understand the whole intent behind what people are really working on, what content they're really creating. So in that case, this is really important, and you can also identify them by clicking on the keyword, and it will highlight what it needs to show. So let's go ahead and minimize this. Now, let me go ahead and add a custom H2. Now, a custom H2 is something that you can double click on and you can add any content here. If I want to drag this around, I can drag them by replacing it into the existing position of wherever you want to move it to. If you try to move it outside and think that it's going to drop at the end, it will not. You have to move it at the end element for it to move the outline. Okay. Now, how do you move examples of long form content within any of these H2 tags? So you can click on this and then you can drag this inside. Okay, and this is one of the bugs that was reported recently, but you can close this out and you see that it has gone inside. Now, if you want to move this outside again, you can click on this particular button and it will convert it into an H2 tag. So it can really do all of these operations. You just have to be careful and where you drop it and how you drop it. Let's go ahead and add a single one as well, which does not have anything. So you see there is nothing inside here. If I want to drag and drop this, it's not going to work. Why? Because this already has another H3 tags in it. That's why it's not dragging it in. So if it is not working, that means that there is more data here. So you need to be more specific when you're grouping this. But let's say if I've created another one, and I just say example, I can drag this easily inside. There we go. So use the outline builder in this fashion in order to get stuff. And I can see some frustration when people try to drop it all the way at the end and it's not going to work. So just drop it right here. There we go. Okay, so let's go ahead and go to create sections and outline. Now, once you are here, this is your sections tab. Okay, so now we are looking at only the sections tab, and the outline that you had created in your AI wizard has moved over onto this outline page. You can still go back and you can still go and check your outlines. They will still be there, but they've moved over here for right now. Okay, so let's go ahead and I want to drag this out. Now let's look at some basic controls in the outline. Basic control starts with summarizing concepts. These are all buttons. Okay, these are all controls that can be used. This will copy, Control Z. It will copy where your cursor is in the editor. This will rewrite it. This will delete it. And something happened here. Yeah, this will remove the entire section altogether. Then this will minimize and maximize that particular section. So you can have better visibility. And similarly, you can see all the H tags are grouped under here. Okay, let's go ahead and look at the title. Let's go ahead and look at controls, then generating concepts. Okay, so how do you generate research for what you need to write about how to create long form content? So you can simply click on generate concepts, and it will gather all the research from existing pages related to how to create long form content. Okay, what are the controls over here? This controls will highlight the concept and allow you to summarize them. That means they will build out the content based on that, and we'll look at that and more in detail in just a few seconds. This will copy the concepts directly into the editor wherever your cursor is, and this will delete that particular concept. If you click here, it will allow you to convert this particular concept into an H2 tag as well as an H3 tag. So if you convert this into an H2 tag, it will convert it into an H2 tag. So let's just go ahead and delete this and open this back up again. So now let's go ahead and look at some of the controls over here. So clicking, we will look at this control at the very end. What will answer do is it will take this question and answer in a particular way. There we go. So this is saying how to create long form content in a way that can help you potentially rank for Google. So Google power boxes or feature snippets. So this is the answer that is much more precise and thorough. And this is what you really need. And this could be binary. You can transition into other paragraphs after that. Okay. Let's go ahead and delete this. Let's look at the custom templates. Okay. So how do you summarize? How do you write on this particular concept? You select multiple, you can select up to 4 concepts, and you can summarize concepts. There we go. So it is going to use this content and stay close to it and build out paragraphs associated with it. Okay, let's go ahead and press Control Z so it goes away. And let's start looking at what will this do and what will this do. So I'm going to delete everything from here and say like, okay, this will add a custom concept. So let's say you have your own research or your own talking points that you want AI to write around. You can just insert them right here and click outside, and it will keep that particular point in place. Let's delete that. This cogwheel here will allow you to enter your custom content. And since we already generated the concept once, it automatically pulled out the research where it is generating the concepts from. So now you can read through everything and you don't need to worry about fact checking because this is facts. This is coming from existing data on the web that Google thinks is authority and is ranking in Google. Okay, delete this and you can add your custom research too. And this custom research can be up to 1,800 characters. And if you need more, you can break them out into multiple sections, or you can generate the concepts once and then delete it, add another ones and regenerate concepts using this particular utility. Okay, let's go ahead and click that. And I will show you again, if I generate concepts, the data will come here automatically. Okay, what are templates? There's a few templates for specific use cases that we have listed out over here. This is the default one, which pulls out all the concepts. This is benefits that pulls out all the positive sentiments from a particular text. This pulls out all the negative sentiments from the text. This finds all the questions that have been answered in the particular research. This is pulling out only the related research around this particular H2 tag. So let's say, for example, you could have pricing and you're talking about Ford Bronco. In that case, you want to only pull out concepts associated with pricing from the content and not the, the entire paragraphs which are talking about it. So you could click related and it will only pull out pricing related concepts from a particular paragraph. So essentially you can use one small paragraph to come up with different kinds of related content from it, understanding the sentiments behind it and building out your paragraph. This is steps. It will try to recreate steps out of an existing content that's already in the research. Okay, and this is more likely aligning with steps, right? And so we will select steps over here, but there's one more, features, which can pull out features from existing product pages, or let's say Amazon pages or any drop shippers page, and you want to extract all the features out of it and then write content around it. This is introduction, so it will only pull out the first few paragraphs of a particular section, which are most likely to be introduction related. Okay, let's go ahead and click steps here and generate concepts again. Okay, there are some things to consider when creating long form content. It's trying to adjust that content into a systematic way that you can create content around. So now what you can do is you can select multiple concepts and expand them into it. Content was actually can be formatted into very concise steps. It will try and do that as well automatically. And again, let's go ahead and see this. Again, the research is already brought into it. And if you don't like this content, you can replace this by your custom content. Okay, developing concepts. So let's look at more in depth in how do you develop concepts. Okay, so I said that you can develop up to 4 concepts, right? And I can develop one as well here, and let's see what that does. So the input sizes for all of these things is going to be much different. Now let's see 2, let's see 3, and let's see 4. So 4 essentially does not mean more content. This is what I was trying to show you. It just means it's going to concise the concepts that you have given it and try to really make sense of it for all of them to work together. And when you're trying to make these concepts work together, if they are not truly related, being able to expand it into something bigger, then they are going to concise it and create a very shorter paragraph as well. So, okay. So you just saw how to create long form content. If I was to talk about this particular section just from the tops of it, I can create so many paragraphs just in a few seconds. And then you can create some transitions and make some final edits and move on to the next one. Okay. So now let's look at sections from SERP. So we've gone through the utilities of this outline and concept builder. Let's move to sections from SERP. This is basically the same data that you see in AI Wizard as well. And we've just put it here so you don't have to keep going back and forth when you want to add a particular H2 tag into your outline. So you can just simply click on it and add it. The next tab is highest frequency word data. You can see that these are some of the most frequently used words in the outlines among all your competitors, right? So you can see, okay, I want to see how many times examples was mentioned and how it was mentioned. So I can click that and it will, okay, so long form content examples, 2 examples of this is how your competition is using examples in their particular content. So you have granularity over how you want to change your content and what you want to add and what you want to delete. Okay. Rearrange. So since we already only have one section here, you can move the entire sections from top to bottom, and it changes this as well automatically. So on the next refresh, it will change it. Okay, so let's go ahead and go to the next section. Let's go ahead and look at the next section, which is SEO score. Okay, so for SEO scoring here, the scoring parameters are all the things that you see in green lines and red lines over here. So what is SEO score considering? It's considering your title, description, headings, how many sections and the kind of sections you have and the keywords you have in your sections. It's also looking at questions data, and these are the questions that we pull out from SERP data. It's also looking at topic coverage. So these are all the topics that your competition is writing their content around, and this is using Google NLP. And this is not a suggestion on how many times you need to use. This is merely telling you that the minimum usage on any particular page we found on the top 20 was 4, and the maximum usage we found was 75. Okay, let's go ahead and keep going. And this is related keywords data. So this is the keywords that people are searching for directly in Google, their search volume, their competition, and how many times those each keywords were mentioned in the SERP. So you see 374 here. This is how many times this particular phrase was mentioned in the content. Okay. Scoring content types. Let's look at this. So there's 2 ways to score a particular content piece. If you are creating pillar pages, they are scored more thoroughly. And if you click on pillar page, you will see your score drop. That means it's really asking you to create more in-depth content, use more keywords and more questions. For most use cases, regular should do. Okay, what is an ideal content score, right? So most people ask, like, how do I aim for, what kind of score do I aim for? So when you go to research, you will see the content scores from all your competition, and you see this is the score. And you also see someone has 95 in score. So if I was to beat this guy, how do I do that? I'd have to create better content than them. I'd have to create more in-depth content than them. So I need to document which has higher score than this guy as well. In this case, I would aim for 100 on Outranking. But even in cases where most contents are around like 60 or 70, I would still aim for 85 to 90 if you really want a fighting chance as ranking for this particular content in Google. Let's go to the next biggest section, which is methods. Methods, just today, we've added quite a few new methods, and I'm going to show you some of these methods that you can use to create content around. Okay, what are the types of method? One is a personal method. So let's go ahead and click on add, and you'd see there's a private method, and there's also a public method. There's 2 types of method. Now, they both have different kinds of restrictions. So when you create a private method, you can automate smaller tasks because you can only pass 600 characters to it in order for it to give you something. And I will show you an example of that as well. And for public ones, you see there the limit is 3,500 characters. And this means that it will go in for an approval. Let's go ahead and minimize this right now and look at some public methods. So methods control. These are the methods that you see that has been contributed by Outranking and some of our contributors. And let's look at some of this controls right here. This will add the particular method into the added folder. So you can easily find them and use them in repeatable manner. And you don't have to go through hundreds of methods to identify the ones that you really want to use. You will see a box over here. And this box essentially means that when you click on command, it's going to run this particular method and generate something, right? So let's go ahead and click on see more. So I'm going to find the new methods that were added last night. And let's look at, there's a brilliant introduction. Okay, so this is a method that was added, a brilliant introduction, and there's only a command feature to it. If you click command, it's going to ask you for a tone. Where do you add the tone? So the tone, you see this small cogs wheel here, add the tone here, funny. Okay, and then come here, and now it will generate that introduction for you. There we go. So here's how you do it. Let's try one more time. Okay, so it's really trying to be creative and trying to be a little funny. So this is your introductory paragraph when it comes to this. And sure, make sure you adjust for some numbers and fact checking, which is super important when you're creating content from GPT-3. Don't just do it out of a blue hat. But you can see this is really creating some really good introduction. Now, let's say you wanted a more guided introduction. In that case, I also added a few more introductions here, which uses specific frameworks. So this is PASS, blog introduction. And this were just added yesterday, so they're all new. You can see that there is a drop down here. And what does that mean? I'll show you. So when you click on command, it's not going to run the command, but it's input box over here. And this input box is same that you can open from here as well. So it's asking you, who are you creating this content from, right? And it already got the tone from where we entered it, but I'm creating this content for content writers. In that case, it will use this and create a past style introduction. So you can see that this is really, really, really good. And this could be your past style introduction for the paragraph that can be engaging to the users and lead them into deeper into the content. And these are very specifically designed to be only used in blogs and not product types. So what you see on other platforms where they have this PASS and IDA and BAB frameworks, they mostly work for products. We've tweaked them to make it work better with long form content. So you can create those really engaging introductions. So you can try out the different formats that are there. So there's PASS, there is this before after bridge, and there's also a brilliant introduction. Try all three and you will realize like how different they are in terms of creating introductions and how engaging they are. There are also some other methods that you can use, like YouTube transcripts to paragraph. And I probably will show that on the Thursday, how you can convert a YouTube transcripts into a blog post in, let's say, half an hour. It's not what you think. It's not going to do everything for you. You're going to have to do a little bit of work here and there, but it will really help you get things done fast. So try out this method and you can start creating your custom methods as well. And if you need more help, or you think that you have a very good idea that can help hundreds of people, feel free to email me or DM me the idea, and we can maybe try and come up with a custom method that can just do particular task associated with this. So there's approximately 25 other methods in line to be published this week. So look out for those. They will help you build out certain sections and certain portions of your content with super breeze. Okay. Let's go up to the instructions tab. Let's look at some controls. This will take you to all the title ideas that everyone has in SERP. If you hover over it, it will tell you how many times this particular highest frequency word was repeated. If it is green, that means it was used in the meta title where we have recommended it. This tells you how many characters you have, and this tells you how many characters you're targeting. So you can look at this 11-step process to optimize your titles, descriptions, H tags, your sections, or you'd consider outlines, optimize for keywords, add questions, and optimize the URL as well. If you are using the AI wizard, it is doing the title, meta description, H tag, and URL automatically. So in that one wizard, you're knocking down majority of the steps. But again, go back here and check, make sure that you've done the best optimization possible. Okay, let's open up a few more of these. So these are related keywords data, and you will see what sort of optimization parameters it has. If you click on it, it will take you to the related keyword tab as well. Just move right to it, the keyword tab. Let's go back to instructions. Similarly, you can follow each steps, read through the comments here, and follow every suggestion to get as many green ticks as you can. Sometimes it's not possible to get all the ticks because even the data could have some sort of discrepancy. So in those cases, you can ignore and move on. Focus on the score. The green check mark means that you have full score, but you don't essentially need full score for everything. Okay, steps and validation. So this was the steps and validations that we talked about. Now let's go to research. This is something that I really need to show you guys in order to allow you to do custom research. Okay, so data. This is the score of the individual page. This is the domain authority. Again, don't go on the exact numbers. Take it as a benchmark and see where you can best place your thoughts instead of falling into the nitty-gritty of whether this is DA is 91 and on other website I saw 93. That's not the point. We're trying to create content, not compare domain authority. This is a benchmark only, and take it according to that. And different data sources have different DAs and PAs as well. So this is page authority. It's a gauge of how strong the page is and how difficult it will be for you to outrank it. Again, like, similar to DA, but again, everything at the end comes down to writing really good content. Everything is binary, but this is to help you gauge and better understand your competition. If you click on this, it will hide this particular data from being calculated in SEO Score. So SEO Score is dynamic, right? And you don't want to be including scoring of pages like e-commerce or stuff, which can have tons of bad information or not so correct information, but it's considering the character count. So you can click on this and you can hide that particular research from being calculated in the score. If you click on this, when you are generating concepts, it will not read this particular page at all. And you can see we pull out all the content from here. If you just click on that down arrow, it shows all the content, right? So if you want to exclude this particular page from being considered in research or considered in coming up with concepts, you can click on this close button and it will not consider this page. Perfect. You can also use the search utility and search for any particular keywords, and it will just scroll through all the content where everything is mentioned. You can also select up to 3 or 4 words in your content. It will automatically search through the research utilities, identifying that as well. Okay. Now, data bank for concepts, we talked about that as well. You can add your custom URLs to pull out content from different pages and help you do the research and write around it, and even let the concepts read through those URL data. You can add multiple URLs by just inserting the URL in here and clicking on save. Let's go to related keywords real quickly. You can add your custom keywords. You don't need to, but let's say you are really optimizing the page and you know what you're doing and how you want to optimize this. You can click on add keywords, either add a different focus keyword to pull out other related keywords clusters around it, or you can manually enter your own keywords too. Let's say if you have research from SEMrush or Href and you want to start scoring your page for that, you can use that. There's also this AI utility. If you click on it, it will go and help you find out where this particular keyword has been mentioned everywhere, whether it is in your content, you partially used it, you're currently using it, whether your competition has used it. Just really helps you do the research, and you can click on competition and just identify all the competition one. Similarly, it can also help you identify where you have used them in content, in paragraphs and stuff as well. So this really helps you do all the research, and you can click see more, and it will keep showing. Let's say if you like a particular concept or a particular section from competition, or the one that you want to optimize, you can just click SEO optimize. It will rewrite it, and then you can copy it and take it wherever you need it. Okay, let's go ahead and close that out. That was a super quick introduction for the beginners, and let's look at all the questions now. Okay, let's go through all the questions. Just give me a second. If I have drafted a blog post on my own, not AI, and want to copy paste into OR, go to create document? Yes, absolutely. You just go to create document. And when you come to create document, make sure you paste your content after this small code things that is there. It's nothing. It's just basically outranking, identifying how to get some of this data out so we can score it. But yeah, go ahead and paste it right under it and then make some adjustments for title and stuff like that. So meta description produce output that is correct length. It's not helpful for it to produce a description that is too long. Tracy, meta description, be making it long, it doesn't hurt your SEO. In fact, if you'd see, Google is not even looking at meta description in many cases and just skipping and finding out the relevant paragraphs from your content. The point of meta description is for you to target additional keywords. It is still important for Google, but the length, not so much. And I wouldn't worry much about the length as I would worry about the quality of meta description that I put in there. And if your quality means 200 characters or if your quality means 160 characters, use it either way. But you can find this on Google, I mean, from the trusted sources only, that meta descriptions can be longer. There's no problem with it. How much Google shows is up to Google. What Google shows is up to Google, but you can still target keywords in your meta description. Does clicking on generate concepts use credits for everything that comes up or just for the concepts you copy paste into the editor? It uses concepts, and generating concepts is not generate. So there's a guideline in V6 launch, I believe, and happy to post this in the group as well. Concept generation uses two ways: the data it reads plus the data it generates. Everything else is only data that it generates. So concept uses a little more characters than everything else because it is not only just giving you outputs, right? So imagine this: you could be on this page and you can create like a 50, 60 or 100 product comparisons on one particular page, right? It's going to consume so much of custom research data that we don't have control over. So for concepts, it is two ways: it's input as well as output, not the training data, not the stuff that we do in the backend that doesn't get translated to you, but everything that it reads plus write. But write for me, methods, AI wizard, and any of the other AI utilities, it's only output based. Is the output from write for me in the editor factual? Factual is only concepts, and concepts is actually reading data. Write for me is building upon the research that you have. So you have to do some fact checking if you are using extensive amount of write for me. If you are using extensive amount of concepts, not so much. Extensive amount of write for me, yes. You would have to do some fact checking. After you add something in the cogwheel section, what do you do to get it to use that to add content to the document? So we can look at a particular example real quickly while we still have time. So let's go to Google and find Amazon bark control. Okay, let's go ahead and look at this particular product, and I will copy this content from here. Let's go to sections, go to cogwheel, apply it here, and then I could say I want features out of it, or just default. You can even click default to write paragraphs, but I said I just want features out of it. Automatic performance improvement, a human bark collar, humane bark collar, not human bark collar, 5 stages of sound beeps and vibrations, right? So it's coming up with really concise features that you can include in your content when you are describing this product to the users. You can also use this utility to come up with, let's say, benefits and see if it comes up, and it will start building out all the benefits under it. It doesn't hurt the dog. It beeps and vibrates are automatic to stop bark from barking. So it's coming up with all the benefits of it. So you can see we're using the same content, but coming up with much better content than Amazon has on its website. After you add something into the cogwheel section, what do you need to do to use to add to the document? So, okay, you can copy this directly into the editor if you wanted to. We're not creating dog bark control here, but I showed this earlier. You can select multiple concepts, or you can select up to 4 concepts, and you can summarize the concepts in order to write it for you. When you do that, it's going to stay on track and write about what it found on the research, or I mean, in the concepts itself, and not vary off into things where you need to do extensive fact checking. So I have found that I need to fact check everything. If that was the point, then there's no point of concept. Concepts is pulling out things which is factual and it's research. So there's no fact checking needed for the content that is being pulled out in concepts. There's no way it is going to give you anything other than what it already found from the SERP data. or your custom research. Not at the moment. If you inadvertently remove a section and didn't mean to, so if you remove it from your current section, then yes, there is a way. You can go to the history, and there is a version history where you can identify that the new documents. I don't have any version history, but let's see, save. And it should create a version history here, which you can navigate through and come back to it. Are you going to add some emails or social media methods coming up? Thank you. Maybe in future, we're really focusing on creating long form content, content for web, case studies, press releases, product pages, home pages, really long form content that requires facts and not so much of bling or bang kind of things. But yeah, you can come up with, if you have any methods that you extensively use and you want to use it in Outranking, feel free to suggest me, and we can come up with those social media methods or email methods as well. Someone created, I think Jason created a method called Neil Patel email. So you can see everything is possible, and we can ask him to make the source code open so you guys can replicate from it. But this will use the title and the description to automatically write an email like Neil Patel and send users some information to bring them back to their website. So things like that, we want to keep it close to what you can do with this kind of content and not do sales emails and stuff like that. We're not going to be into that, at least not right now. Okay, are you okay? Thank you. How does OR handle long tail keyword research? So what is long tail keyword research, right? Like you're going to identify your main focus keyword to go after, and whether you want to go for long tail or short tail, that's before the document creation that happens, right? So we have a very basic utility where you can actually go and do some basic research. But if you need a very powerful long tail keyword research tool, I would say go to SEMrush or some other tools. But if you're just using something basic, something like Uber Suggest or something like that, you can get away with just this utility. It does pretty much the same thing. But let's say long form content, even here, you will be able to see some really long tail keyword, long form versus short form content, and it can be even longer, right? So you can do some of the research here, but if you're a power user and you need much more, then I would go to a better keyword research tool or dedicated keyword research tool. Oh, Kathy. So I forgot to show you that, but you can see the source. And that is what I showed in when I was generating concepts as well. So let's go ahead and see the source. So when you click on sec, let's go ahead and delete this. I'm going to delete this as well. So right now you have no source. Okay. I'm generating sections. So it's going to identify the content that's already there in the existing research. And there it is. It already gave you the source where it pulled out all the content from. Not keyword research does not consume AI credits. Oh, the method source code. Yeah, that's tricky, right? And we want to keep it GNU so many people can use out of it. We're just trying to find a way to make all of these things open source kind of thing where people can replicate it, because you can understand that this can fly to all sorts of competitors and they can take advantage of some of this method. So we plan on making a few of them open source, not everything open source. Otherwise, it would just take away the USP. It's just tons of time and tons of training data that is very carefully curated with hours and hours behind it, that putting them together and making it work. So yes, absolutely. Feel free to request one. It usually does not take much time for us to come up with new methods. So if you get one in today, you could have one in the next couple of days. Everything that is generated through AI, anything that's related to concepts, anything that's related to AI, right? Like AI wizard, everything is generating AI. This is not using it, and this is not using it. So even if you are here and you don't want to use this, you can still use this without using AI. And section, yeah, this uses AI. Write for me uses AI. Method uses AI. There are many core features inbuilt into the platform that easily identify certain things and triggers that use AI, which we don't charge for either. So you would see related keywords data. If you click here and you do SEO optimization by something like this, that will use AI. So what if I just want to do the research, don't use it? It's fine, up to you. It's totally up to you. Okay, is there any more questions here, guys? We still have 4 more minutes. Everything that has AI written on here, that will use AI. And it's very, very, very easy to identify where we use AI. This is AI. This is AI. Let's go to methods. Everything in methods is AI because it's using AI, and everything in concepts is AI. It's 4 places or 5 places that we use AI. So yeah, we automatically identify the related keywords that you need to include using SERP data. So you don't need to, but if you are a power user and you want to go beyond what we are recommending or what we are suggesting, you can click on add keywords here and add your own custom keywords by clicking on enter keywords manually. Yes, absolutely. On YouTube. Yes, absolutely. Everything is going to be available on YouTube shortly after this webinar. Natalie, you'll probably have the date on it, so it should be very easy to figure out. And we'll also share it in the Facebook group as well as I believe the email goes out as well. On daily Facebook Live. Oh, yes, working on it. We're working on creating a power course or something which we can use to more sophisticatedly get you into using and mastering the product. So look out for that. We're still working on that guideline. Yes, absolutely right. So the Frontrunner Sprint, let's go ahead and look at this. So it's a grandfather deal basically. And what that really means is that the price that you get right now will not go up, and the seats that you have right now will not be taken away from you, or the pricing changes or anything like that will not be affecting any of this plans that we have recently. Pricing will go up after we end the grandfather deal by a subsequent amount, and this is just for us to build out a strong community and strong advocates using the product, which is much different than what you've seen out there. So any specific questions you have around that, happy to answer that. I don't really understand how can you manage your credits. Yeah, it's really, you're gonna have to do some figuring it out. It's not particular. 1,500 words or 2,500 words can use a significant amount of credits, or it can use nothing. It really depends on how you use it. So you're gonna have to experiment with it a little bit to understand how it is using your credits based on your consumption method, and then come up with a number that's justifiable. But I would say if you're creating 2,500 word article, I don't really know. I go after content. When I'm creating content, my contents are usually 3,000, 5,000 words, and I land up using up to 150,000 characters. But if you use it conservatively, if you don't use it, it's really depending on your use case only. So I would say experiment a little, but people have said that for 2,000 word count, they spend approximately 40,000 characters for researching and for writing. It's again all just in the air. You're gonna have to do your own little experiment to see what works for you and how it works for you, and then go from there. It resets from your planned date. So if you purchase the product today, it will reset to 30 days from today. When you join, it depends on when you join. Yes, so we will increase the pricing. This is not for LTDs. This is just for our daily subscriptions and add-ons. The add-on prices, we have a currently deal for all the add-ons and LTD members to purchase add-on of a 1 million character at $39 monthly. That price is going to increase to $59 on the 8th of this month, is I believe. So we have 3 more days to get into it. That price will not go up if you carry forward your subscription. That price will not increase. But if you let it go or you purchase it later, it will be $59. And now everything is monthly, right? So your LTD plan was one time, but add-ons, if you need more, it is monthly. And yes, they will roll over starting next cycle. So yes, if you purchase an add-on, it will roll over with some limit. It will also allow you to pause it for a month on an ongoing basis for up to 3 months. And if you need more than 3 months, you can just cancel the plan and repurchase again, but you can still keep using your credits that were rolled over. So it's all good over there. And for early, sorry, I missed the future pricing. It's possible. And that's why plagiarism check is always essential, right? Like, doesn't matter any tool. Even if I give my content to someone on Upwork or someone else is writing my content, and it comes back to me, I'm going to do grammar. I'm going to do plagiarism check. It's just mandatory. There's no way you can get without that. Nope. Nothing will change on your LTD plan. If you need more characters than what your LTD plan is offering, in that case, you have to purchase add-on. Otherwise, you don't need to, and you should be fine. All right. Any more questions, guys? I believe that was the end of it. I don't understand how many users. Can you be a little more specific so I can understand what you mean by how many users? It's mentioned $159. How many users? It's 3 users. Okay. All right. So that was the last question. If you guys have any more questions, feel free to DM me on Facebook or pose a question in the group, and happy to answer you guys over there, or reach out to support. And thank you all for joining. Have a wonderful day, and see you guys on Thursday, where we'll talk about more concepts, methods, and how to create content really fast.